Welcome to 60 Days Insider. I'm Dan Abrams. Coming up next, we're more than halfway through the second phase of the program at the Clark County Jail. Our participants have already seen their share of trouble.
Bitch, I'll beat your ass.
Do it, I'm right here.
Is that what you want to do?
Sheri is now taking bigger risks to uncover contraband and corruption. Dion's becoming more unstable. Ryan's been moved to a new pod to protect the program. And a sewer line break is threatening to push the inmates into chaos.
Got it. Water and fish coming out of that drain.
I'm here with Sheriff JAMEY NOEL, Captain SCOTTIE Maples, and Phase 1 participants, Tami and Zach. Let's talk about Sheri. She has taken some big risks in this episode.
They're so high, and they start just getting violent and crazy.
Don't put your finger on my forehead, dogs.
Little Ashley, she's physically aggressive. She's even exchanged some words with Mona Lisa.
I can say whatever I want to say, whenever I want to say.
Not to me, though.
Writing this note, I was hoping that maybe they'll come in and find some drugs and maybe they'll get rid of some of these people.
Tami, good or bad decision?
Personally, I wouldn't have done it if those girls found out that you flew that kite and you've got nobody to back you. You're looking at something very volatile. That's some information that I would have saved for the captain and the sheriff upon my exit interview.
Sheriff, what is a kite?
A lot of times that's where information's passed either from inmate to inmate, or in this case, from an inmate to an officer. And the kite is, they hope it flies as far as they can.
Yeah.
That another inmate doesn't be able to retrieve it out from underneath that door.
So while you want this information, this is not necessarily the way you want to get it.
Exactly. That's why we said be a good witness. Don't take any notes. Don't write anything down. We'll get it all in the debrief or when we watch the actual footage.
There's very few reasons you would slide a note under the door.
Especially being a corrections officer, she should have known better. And she also put 2 other participants at risk at that time.
Because they were all banded together at this point, and it's...
Well, Mona Lisa distances herself.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, I'm not with it. I don't have a clue what you're doing. Because you can your money if you blow your pepper.
What happens if people find out that someone sent a kite? How bad is it?
If the inmate puts together that, you know, a cert raid happens afterwards or someone's pulled out of that section or an investigation, it's pretty detrimental to them because there's usually repercussions to that. It could be violence or it could be a stern talking to.
So there's a second raid of the compound now.
All right, everybody downstairs on the wall. Go.
Doesn't find any contraband. Is that frustrating, Sheriff?
It is. It's frustrating anytime you do a search and you don't come up with anything, but think of all the innovative ways that inmates hide contraband.
And I look over and one of the girls put something inside of that coffee cup. And I'm like, holy.
And there are a lot of creative ways to hide
yes,
this
there
stuff,
are.
right?
So many different, I mean, there's so many different ways people found to hide. I mean, you've got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to sit around and think about where you can hide something. And you can create new ways to hide something that nobody's ever even thought of before.
When you were in there, they were sneaking the contraband underneath the trays.
Underneath the trays,
We start honing down on that, now it's coming in through the laundry. They just adapt, and we have to adapt also.
In this last episode, we saw Dion and Ryan being moved into new pods. Sheriff, why are inmates typically moved out of one pod into another?
You know, generally it's because there's an issue with an inmate in there, but in this particular case, Ryan was becoming too close, too inmate-like.
Hey, do me a favor. Yeah. Look up how to escape jail.
I can give you answers on that. You don't like them.
Down the laundry, there's all sorts of clothes. We cleaned out the properties once. I got one of my cell phones I found. So you can just call it a ride, get it all set up.
Yeah.
There's a room that's access to outside.
I'm kind of at a conflict here. I know that you guys have a job to do, but I also kind of have an honor code myself.
Just keep that door open, and whip down, and just boom. And dude, they could take off.
Bam.
Did you feel that Ryan was too close to Shane Garza?
I think that was Ryan's survival mode, that he was going to get as close as he could to an inmate and I think he was losing touch of where he was at in the program and what we was there to do. So to change it, we moved him to a different pod.
It's a very tough line to walk, and I think Ryan just got a little too comfortable with that line.
You're consumed. I mean, it's 24/7. You're trying to assume a particular role. There's rules that you have to follow in there.
It's easy to criticize Ryan, but also I asked him to go in there and not blow his cover, and he did a pretty good job of that. I just think maybe he's taking it a little bit too far.
Why did you feel the need to move Dion?
Once we see you get into a daily routine and you figured out some information, why not utilize you in another section?
I noticed, like, in this pod, people watching you 24/7. It's kind of creepy because it's like everybody is just facing you and stuff, and they worried about what you got or what type of person you are. It's affecting me, and, like, it's not making me be myself 100%.
Taking the D-pod, you had to figure everything else out again because it's two totally different atmospheres.
We are just past the halfway mark in Sheriff Noel's program, and the Phase 2 participants are still struggling to settle in, especially after a surprise pod switch for the male participants. So Ryan gets into C-Pod and almost immediately sets up a trading commissary, effectively a store.
I realized that running a store gained you some sort of respect and can give me an insight that I won't get anywhere else. I started talking to Alex, and I started just kind of asking questions, and I learned all of his faults and flaws. If I were to run a store, I could move up the ranks, make a lot of money, gain a lot of influence, and I could literally start making some huge moves in jail. Breaking the rules sometimes it pays, it's worth it, and it's really not that big a deal.
You specifically told all the participants, right, in the training, I watched it, do not start getting into the trading game.
Exactly, because it's always a problem. It never goes smoothly.
And then it jeopardizes his participation in the program. Money has no value in jail, but things do. Whether it's things be a food tray, whether it be a soup, whether it be a candy bar. So he was using that to personally benefit to stockpile.
But he said he was always being fair, right? If someone was going to give him too much, he'd give him back.
The problem is, if they get one soup today, their interest is 2 soups tomorrow.
And as smart as Ryan may think he is, you could have a master's degree in real life, but when you go to jail, that doesn't mean anything. It's a whole different education.
So everyone agrees this was not a good move.
Even if nothing bad comes of it, it's still, by its very nature, a bad move.
This doesn't benefit us at all.
No.
This is why we told you not to do this. We don't need to know how the trade of commissary goes.
But he would say that he was able to get more information because he got to know more people, right? Hey, when you open a store, you got a storefront, you get to meet a lot more people.
We don't need to know 2 soups equals 1 nutty bar.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, a big issue that affects everyone in this latest episode was this sewer line break.
I don't know. I don't know. Whoa. Oh, got it. Water and piss coming out of that drain.
Damn. We got the sewage coming up. We got a fire.
All right. Tami, seeing what you've seen, would you have stayed?
Here's the thing. If you're an inmate, you can't say, you know, oh, I'm going to go home now. And that's the experience that I knew that I was getting into. And, of course, I would have stayed. So there wasn't anything that was going to make me leave.
Real quick, Sheriff, are you concerned that this could lead some of these participants to tap out?
Tensions are already high in jail, period. It's just one more thing added into this horrid situation where you have the sewage coming up like a forced main.
And Tami, you worried about Ryan's store?
Oh, Ryan. Yes, very much so. He's going down the wrong path.